What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Phaithful Phanatics podcast. It is a very difficult and sad time in our country and in the sports world in general. But here on the Phaithful Fanatics, we're going to try to keep things as upbeat and positive as possible for everyone watching. The Milwaukee Bucks started a domino effect yesterday when they decided to boycott their game 5 against the Orlando Magic, resulting in a bunch of MLB games last night and today, and the NHL deciding not to play their games today. The NBA is in talks to start back up on Saturday, and I'm assuming you'll probably see the NHL around the same time. But with that being said, there is one thing. What's going on, Snap?
I'm so sorry. Good.
There's one thing to be positive about in Philadelphia if you're a Sixers fan, and that is the fact that we are looking for a new head coach now that Brett Brown is finally gone. And I say that not being a bad person, not like I don't want to see any man lose his job, lose his soul. But as a sports fan, as a Sixers fan, it was time for change. It was time for a new person in that role. So, again, we'll start with you. How happy are you that Brett Brown is no longer the head coach of the 76ers?
Yeah, I'm beyond astounded. I was never really a Brett fan. I thought he got a lot of praise for guys playing hard, all those like bad guys, KJ McDaniels, Tony Rotens of the world. But like realistically, those guys would have played really hard under any NBA coach. Those guys are looking for a contract. Those are guys that weren't ever going to maybe stick around in the league. So he got a lot of praise for that. And then as you saw from these last 3 years, it was just time. It was time to move on. In game, he's just not a very good head coach. He struggled with timeout structures, substitution rotations, just everything, late game plays. So I'm really happy to be moving on from Brett Brown. I think this will finally put an end to this process era that Sixers fans love to just keep bringing up, and I think it's just time to move on and move into the next phase of Sixers basketball.
Well, that's going to hurt the processor himself down in the corner underneath of me. Snap, what do you have to say going off against comments?
Yeah, I think the process is officially over. It was the right move. It was time. He gets exposed in the playoffs. In the first round, when we have more talent than the opponents we face, we always come out on top. But that's just down to talent. Like you was saying, terrible in-game decisions, terrible late-game decisions, terrible pick-and-roll defense, terrible pick-and-roll just in general. Almost seems like half the times he didn't even know his second rotation coming in. I think he made horrible substitutions. But, yeah, I officially think the process is over now that Brett Brown is gone. He was like the face of it. Besides Sam Hinkie, Brett Brown was the face of the process. It could be, even though Embiid is the process, Tony Roten made the term, whatever you want to say, it was Brett Brown. He was the coach hired to go through this transformation. We all wanted him to win it. They had their best chance last year, but the departure of Jimmy Butler and just the new roster just didn't work out. So moving forward, this is a new era of basketball. Yes, we still have two pieces from the process. It doesn't mean it's the process. And you can still trust the process. I'm not saying that's over. I will always say trust the process. I feel like that term is going to be stuck with the Sixers forever. But again, it was time for Brett to move on.
Yes, Snap, I agree with you. You mentioned it. I think he was the perfect coach, the perfect players coach to coach the process itself. I don't know where it went wrong. I don't think it was expected for him to be here for 7 years for that long.
No, I don't think so either.
I think maybe it's the fact that in his first year with the pieces together in Ben and Joel, they took him to a 52-game win season. They won a playoff series. Maybe that played a factor into it. Like, oh, maybe he can take us to the next step as well. But I think any Sixers fan, any basketball mind can tell you that Brett Brown, like you guys said, does get exposed in the playoffs. He cannot make it mid-game adjustments. We've seen him 2 out of the last 3 seasons get out coached by Brad Stevens. I guess
that's a real basketball coach. Yeah. Like for like a win now team, you need a guy like a Brad Stevens.
And he was the coach of the year last year, and Nick Nurse. That's hard to say you got out coached considering we were a triple bounce away from going to overtime with the NBA champions. But
again, was it? Was it coaching that got us there, or was it just pure talent?
No, pure talent. But
Nick Nurse took that team, and I know they had Kawhi Leonard, but you see what he's doing this year. And you could say, oh, well, these guys have played with each other for a while. But no, like there is a culture set in Toronto where those guys know how to play the game the right way, and Nick Nurse coaches them to play the game the right way. And they had Dwayne Casey. Perfect example is the Raptors. They had Dwayne Casey. They were the first seed. They got bounced out by LeBron, and then LeBron goes to the finals. LeBron sweeps him with the Cavs, and they still fire him. And
wasn't he the coach of the year that year?
Yeah, he was coach of the year. And they still fired him. And a lot of people thought it was a ridiculous move. They thought it was ridiculous that they did it, but it worked out in the long run. Granted, they had Kawhi Leonard the next season, and that always plays a big part over DeMar DeRozan. But sometimes you just have to make that change. Look at the Bucks. They brought in Mike Budenholzer. They became a much better team. They actually built a system around Giannis. Jason Kidd didn't do that when he was there with Giannis. Mike Budenholzer has this system that works for Giannis. He accommodates to his stars' needs, and sometimes I feel like Brett didn't do that. These guys are young. They need a guy that's going to get on their ass and put a system around them that's going to work for them. Brett was really big on freelance offense. We all seen it. Dribble handoffs, kind of like if the first option fails, you just go for it. Fuck it.
It was so democratic. Everyone got a shot. And that's
you could just come down the court, and if like you didn't have like the right, like if there was like if the play wasn't set up yet, I feel like they just chucked the ball a lot of times. And at first, I like always try to be like, well, that's the league now. People shoot, but we don't have Steph Curry, we don't have James Harden, we don't even have a guy that shoots over 40% from three. So you can't do that. If you have like three guys that can do that, like some teams in the league, yeah, go for it. If he wants to chuck a three up, hell yeah. But we have guys shooting 35%, 33%, 32%, and Ben Simmons who doesn't shoot at all. Like you can't afford that. It's basically a turnover.
Snap, you brought up the word accountability because that was huge in some Sixers play. Josh Richardson came out after the Game 4 sweep and said that he feels like Brett needs to take some more accountability. Elton Brand spoke a ton about it in his press conference after they released Brett Brown. So I guess my next question to you guys before we get into who we would like to see, who the rumors are that the Sixers are going to be, interviewing for this job. I want to ask you guys, how important or do you think any of the guys that are being mentioned will hold the 76ers accountable, as in, you hear a lot about it right now, holding Ben Simmons accountable for not shooting the basketball, holding Joel Embiid accountable to get his butt in better shape. Just how do you think that plays a role going forward in their coaching search?
I mean, yeah, I definitely think it depends on who you hire. I think it's really, really important that we do have someone come in. I think Brett's culture was more of a friendly culture, and he didn't want to step on his best players' toes ever, which in the NBA these days, you definitely want your best players to be happy. So that could work to an extent, which is why I always said I think Brett Brown was a great assistant coach, and I think he will be a great assistant coach because he's just one of those guys that players could probably run to after the coach gets in them, and he basically breaks down what he's saying in a nice way rather than a yelling this and that. So that's why you're seeing a lot of names, and we'll get into names like you said, and some of the names I just kind of want to stay away from because I don't want this friendly culture anymore. I want a guy that is just going to Ben almost will get scared to the point where he just starts launching the ball. Just even though he won't be scared as a grown man, but just somebody that's, like you said, accountability, and we just need someone that's going to stick their foot down and figure this stuff out quick.
Well, another thing that I took away from Elton Brand's press conference was the way he described management last year. And I couldn't believe what I was hearing, which is why I want to give him the benefit of the doubt maybe a little bit. And maybe I'm just hopeful and see how he does as the main guy this year or even next year. But he made it seem as if it was a collective group effort when it came to making decisions. He had a say. The head coach had a say. The other analytics department had a say of who they wanted to bring in. As far as if that's true or not, or if that's just him covering his ass for this disappointing season and letting go of Jimmy Butler and bringing in Al Horford and signing Toby to the max. But if it is true, that is very alarming that is how our team was ran. after it looked like they were ready to compete for a championship last season.
I heard on the radio at one point that the analytics started playing too big of a part.
Yes.
Like Bob Cousy on 97.5 said when he first went into the met Brett Brown down at the department and they went to his office, there was like 2 analytic guys. And he said by the time like last year, there was like a whole space for like 20 or 30 of these guys. I think they got too much into the analytics, especially after the Colangelo era.
Yeah, definitely. I think Tobias Harris is the most analytical signing ever. You see Tobias's numbers and you think, wow, this guy should be really good. And then you watch him just play the game of basketball and you're like, this is the 50, 40, 90 guy that's perceived to be almost that guy. But I do want to get back to where you said head coach. I think the head coaches definitely have a say in who gets signed, who gets moved. Even though they're not the GM, I think they definitely get a say.
So do you agree? Not to cut you off, I'm going to throw this right back to you. But so then do you agree? Because it almost seemed as if they threw a shot. They kind of threw Brett's name through the mud a little bit right before they let go of him. And then he threw in a slight jab at the front office when he was thanking everybody, and he threw in 102 players over his 7 years. But the front office, Keith Pompey wrote a piece on the fact that the front office came out and said Brett Brown played a huge role in Jimmy Butler not coming back because he didn't want to deal with Jimmy Butler. So, throwing this back to you, do you think that is actually true? Or because you just said you think the head coach has a big role to play in who stays and who goes?
Yeah, I absolutely think Brett had a huge role in Jimmy not coming back. When, like I brought it up last podcast, he was on JJ Redick's podcast, Jimmy Butler, that is, talking about his time here and essentially why he didn't come back. And he said,
right. But I know that Jimmy didn't like Brett, but do you think that Brett wanted no part of Jimmy here?
Oh, yeah. Anyone that – because Jimmy will call Brett out too. He doesn't care if you're a coach, player, trainer, ball boy. If you're doing something wrong, he's just one of those guys that says, like, yo, why are you doing this wrong? This isn't how this should be done. So, and he said he brought it up in a film room one time. He said, why are we even here? So Brett probably didn't like that. He probably doesn't like to get his foot stepped on, which – I mean, as the head coach, you probably don't want that to happen. But if you're going to be successful, you have to. Shaquille O'Neal talks about all the time how when he was in Miami, him and Pat Riley never got along. And it doesn't have – you don't have to get along. You just have to win. You don't have to be friends. When you win, I guarantee you'll all hug each other. I guarantee it.
Same thing with LA. Shaq and Kobe never got along. Shaq would be posted up. Kobe would be like, feed me, or I mean, vice versa. Shaq would be posted up saying, feed me the ball. Kobe's like, no, work for it. Like, these guys are having arguments on the court. They won 3 championships together. Like,
speaking of the most dominant big man in the league, you hear his comments on Joel Embiid.
He said Joel Embiid was more talented than him. And if that doesn't speak volumes to everyone saying trade Joel Embiid, trade Ben Simmons, then I don't know what else will. I really don't. Shaquille O'Neal is probably the most dominant player we have ever seen, minus Phil Russell and Wilt Chamberlain playing against garbage men back in the 50s and 60s or whatever the hell they played. But besides that, like, we've never seen a 7'2", 300-pound monster like Shaq. And he just straight up said it. Like, Joel Embiid is more talented. Like,
they get on Joel's ass a lot. So,
yeah. But I mean, that's rightfully so. Like, I love the fact that these guys. And if I was Joel Embiid, I'd love it too. The day they stop complaining about him, that essentially means they don't think he's worth what he is. Right. So you definitely want to hear that.
They complain. I feel like, like we were again saying, like when they complain about him, it's because they know what he is capable of.
Exactly.
It's almost like, yo, pick it the up. We know who you are. We know how talented you are. You should be 10 times better than you're acting. Same thing with Jimmy Butler. To dive in a little bit back to Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler said Joel Embiid could be the best player in the league. That was word for word what he said about Joel Embiid. And like ever since we lost in the playoffs, we're seeing a lot of these Jimmy Butler clips from last year where Jimmy would be like, shoot it, and then he would make it freak out. He's like, that's why take us home. Like I feel like Embiid is that good and people see it. But for some reason, some of our fans don't really understand how good he is. I don't know why.
And hopefully a coaching change will get that best player in the world.
Do you want to dive into that? Should we dive into –
Let's segue into it because I want to throw –
Should we each give one or should we talk about the number one guy right now?
I'm going to throw a resume out there for you guys and get knows who it is. And you guys will probably get it right away. But because I hear a lot of people saying no. And I just want to know, like, on the Mr. Noah show the other day, they were talking about it, and he's got a great.
Okay.
He's got a great point. Like players, you can watch and you can say that guy has it, this guy doesn't. Like, you can kind of tell. Coaches, how the hell do you know? Like, and you could list an assistant coach that wherever in a D1 school, and people will say, well, he's not qualified. Well, how do you know? So here's the first resume I want to throw to you guys. He played in the league for 11 years. He won a championship while he was a player. It's not easy to play in the league for over a decade. He's been a coach for 9 years. He was a head coach for 3, going to 3 straight finals appearances and winning 1. Now, if I give you that resume without a name attached to it, does that sound qualified for the job?
Obviously.
Okay. And Snap, you know who it is. Who is it?
It's Ty Lue.
Yep.
And at first, I was terrified of that name. When that was the first name saying they had mutual interests, I was terrified. Then I dove into film. Like, really dove into film. I spent one night, I was up for 4 hours straight till 2 a.m. just watching Ty Lue film. Watching how the Cavaliers played for those 3 years. Like, breaking down their offense, breaking down how because, like, people, I know Ben Simmons isn't the same player as LeBron, but they have a lot of similarities, man.
And he runs them at a point forward.
And he runs him at point forward where he likes to use high screens with non-shooting big men, which you can switch Ben into now that he's playing a lot more forward. And he likes to do it with guards that can shoot, especially off the catch and shoot, Shake Milton, or maybe Tobias, put him in that spot. And after watching a lot of film, I almost convinced myself that out of everyone out there not named Jay Wright, even if Jay Wright becomes available, I still think I'm leaning toward Ty Lue a lot. I think his system would absolutely benefit Ben Simmons. But, keyword on the but, it's how he is going to accommodate Joel Embiid's post offense. Because he had a post player, a dominant post player in Cleveland, Kevin Love. And you've seen what happened to him. He turned into a 14-point scorer and a stretch 4 right away. Is that what he's going to do with with Joel Embiid because he knows Joel Embiid can shoot? I hope not because it's Joel Embiid. He's the best big man in the league. But I feel like that is the only flaw in his offense that I can find that maybe it would be more beneficial to Ben and less beneficial to Embiid. But that might help us. That might be more effective.
Yeah, and also he believes in spacing, which benefits them both. So, like you said, and getting out there with you because you are the Villanova man of this podcast. I love Nova too, but I don't think.
Yeah, I do too. He's got a mile.
I don't think there's a bigger Wildcat fan in the room than again. So, Jay Wright, Snap, throw him out there. I'm on board with Snap. I think Ty Lue's qualified. I think he would be a good coach here. It would be interesting to see how it plays out because once fans are allowed back in the Wells Fargo Center, you probably have to take down every step over picture, every video in it. So that will not be allowed.
You really would.
The jumbo screen anymore before games. But again, if Jay Wright became available, why would he not be the right fit for the Sixers?
He would be. First of all, and I'll put it out there. I think that's a pipe dream. I think I know you're saying if. I think every single time there's a vacancy in Philadelphia for basketball, Jay Wright will be the one they point to because of his success. He has so much success in college basketball. But if he were to pertain to the NBA game, every big man that's came through Villanova it's been like a 3-star recruit, Daniel Chefu, they've succeeded mightily. And so you put the best big in the NBA available all of a sudden in his offense. He runs a 4-out offense, but I would see how he would adjust in the NBA. I don't think he would just bring his college plans and turn it into and put NBA players in that situation because he runs a lot of switches. He switches everything on defense, which I don't think they would do as much in the NBA because college you can get away with that, especially in the conference they play in. So it'll be really interesting for Jarrett. Obviously, it would be really cool to see him move to the NBA. Like I said, I think it's a dream. But every college coach that goes to the NBA, sometimes like Kyle Perry didn't translate. So it'd be interesting to see if he could translate. I think he could, but I don't think we'll ever see it, to be honest.
Brad Stevens translated pretty damn well.
Yeah, but Brad Stevens never won a national championship. No. Jay Wright's got 2 of them under his belt.
Are they ranked number 1 going
Yeah,
to?
well, them and Gonzaga are getting thrown back and forth, but they're
Right.
preseason 1 and 2.
So
Yeah, and he's the best. He's the best recruiting class in 2021 coming. I don't see him even considering an option to leave.
So he's got a shot for 3 and 5 years, correct?
Oh yeah, and this year didn't even count. The one that just passed.
Right. Yeah. George, buddy, how's the throat feeling? We have
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. We're living.
All right, let's throw Jay right to it. No, he had a sore throat.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Is he still next to me on the screen too?
Yeah.
it was in the group chat, man.
Social distance being live
Jay,
stream.
right. Because you sent a text in the other day saying it, like Jim said, it's a smoke dream from what you know. And
George has an inside source.
yes.
Say it. According to sources close to Jay Wright, it's a pipe dream.
Yeah,
Mr.
Snap, wait,
Fortune.
hold on. Snap, move your head.
That's funny.
What do you do?
You got the same picture.
Oh, we do.
I can't even do it this
No, look at that. Look at that. Oh, right there.
Yeah, there you
Every
go.
time I point at something on the screen, you always go like the wrong way.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
All right, George, take it away, buddy.
Yeah, Jay Wright just seems like a complete pipe dream. But Ty Lue, at first, I did not want him. I don't know about you guys. I feel like you guys are kind of feeling the same way. But I feel like experience matters, especially for a head coach. Bringing Ty Lue in here would be amazing. If he holds players accountable, if he can adapt around Ben Simmons and somehow, because I know this isn't like a huge thing, but he wasn't afraid to get into it with LeBron. Like he will hold his players accountable and he'll actually get on their asses, it seems like. So if he can hold them accountable, if he can adapt to Ben Simmons and make him somewhat a shooter, like get him to shoot the ball, because Brett Brown seemed like it was always going to shoot. I want him to shoot like 3 times a game, and it just never happened. I feel like Ty Lue could actually be the answer to that, and we could see Simmons shoot more. Embiid's easy. You just give it to him down low. You let him dominate.
Pace.
Exactly. I'm all in on Ty Lue. Jay Wright, I mean, that would be really cool, but it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
He's not leaving. He's a king. He's a king at Nova. It's not going to happen.
The king.
The guy at Nova.
Yeah.
I'm okay with whatever direction they go in, I think, because like I said earlier, coaches you just don't know. Because coaches you just don't know.
I'm not okay with any direction.
If the Sixers hire Nate McMillan, I'm buying a Mikal Bridges Suns jersey. And
What
I'm
about Jason Kidd?
Okay.
I'll become a Brooklyn fan real quick. I'll be like, yo, they used to be in New Jersey. I'm from Jersey. I can't hold it. There you go. There's my excuse.
Damn, now I forget where I was going. So like, yeah, George.
Accountability, or
You mentioned it. He wasn't afraid to get into it with LeBron.
told LeBron to shut the fuck up when he tried to take over a huddle before. Like Brian Windhurst, like reported that. Like he straight up said, LeBron tried to take over a huddle and LeBron cursed him, Ty Lue cursed him out.
And he knows everything about LeBron.
And that's LeBron James.
Source.
Like we're talking about a coach that coached LeBron James and Kyrie Irving on the same team for 2 years. If that ain't one hell of a hard locker room to keep together, I don't know what the fuck is, man. Like that is a tough locker room.
And him and Ben had the connection through Clutch Sports. So
yeah,
that's why I see it happening.
Yeah, I do too. I think Clutch has a lot of power in this league.
There was another point thrown out that Ben, I think it plays a big role because if he gets the job, I think he helps Ben get whatever his issue is, the confidence, whatever the shooting, he gets it because Clutch Sports cannot like that their next guy, their guy is not shooting the basketball in this day and age.
Their first overall pick since Anthony Davis.
Right.
Like if you're looking at all the
someone said the other day, Luka is becoming
what Ben should have been.
Yes. And I'm not, dude, and I love Ben. No, again, I see what you're saying. I'm talking
offensively, yeah. Minus the defense. That's exactly what we thought Ben was going to turn into. This guy that could just score the ball at will. He was averaging triple doubles every game. He's hitting game winners. If you didn't think that's what you thought Ben Simmons was going to become, you're out of your mind. Like
I never thought Ben Simmons would shoot a 40-foot step back game.
I
can proudly say that.
Okay, I'm not saying shooting 40-foot step backs, but like being the guy, like going against the second seed and taking them to so far 4 games. Like they were supposed to get blown out by the Clippers, and here he is, like dropping 40 points in a game. I thought Ben Simmons was really going to come out here and like just like how Pascal Siakam improved his offensive game. I thought he was just going to like improve it after he got in the league, and it hasn't. I think Ty Lue's system is literally perfect. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the style of offense they ran 2 years ago when Joel Embiid went down and they went on that 19-game win streak. Fast-paced, spread the floor, like that 5-out spacing that Ty Lue likes to run. When Brett was running that for Simmons and they had Ersan Ilyasova running at center, that team's offense was incredible.
But what did Ben have around him? He had JJ. He had Marco Bellinelli. He had Robert Covington, who I'm not a fan of, but he could still shoot from the outside.
He was confident. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Mr. Frosty.
I think so. Like, okay, so I think we're all in agreement. We're all in agreement that Ty Lue is definitely qualified for that coach. As of right now, we don't know which direction they're going to go, but as of right now, he's rumored to be the main guy that they're targeting. So my next question is, getting out there to you first, then George. What is the roster going to look like? Will we see a little bit of an overhaul? Like, what are we going to see? Should we expect a similar starting 5 next year?
I'm expecting Elton Brand to do what Elton Brand has proved he does, and it's make big moves, man. If Elton Brand is known for one thing in his 2-year career as the GM, he's not going to keep this roster the same. He's going to move one of these big contracts.
Especially, I agree with you, because especially if this roster isn't what he wanted.
Exactly.
If he has the full control now, like he says he does, then I agree. You are going to see a lot of movement this offseason.
I personally am expecting a deal with Sacramento still.
Buddy?
I see the Buddy deal happening. Okay. I can really see that, because I don't think Buddy's going to stay after this contract. I think they want to move on. I think they did have an interest in Al Horford. I think they would like a guy like Josh Richardson, who's on contract for relatively cheap for how good he is for the next 2 years, to play alongside the Aaron Fox. Those guys it would be a nice switch up from a Buddy Hield type who doesn't really play defense as much and isn't really an athletic freak. Like Josh Richardson can, like when Josh Richardson's full go, he's full go. He runs that court. He's very athletic. He likes to make athletic plays. He kind of would be a better complement in a fast-paced offense with the Aaron Fox. So I could see those two getting moved. And honestly, I'm kind of praying for another deal possibly is, if I'm Elton Brand, I'm getting on the phone with Oklahoma as soon as the playoffs is over. And I'm seeing what they want for Chris Paul. If you're going to run Ben at the power forward position and you can run him in that non-shooting big position with the Sixers, I don't see why not you get a point guard like Chris Paul. I think he'd be a perfect complement. We're talking about accountability. You're absolutely right.
Tyler, the Sixers would be terrific. Yes, he would.
Yes, he would. But Chris Paul, I think Chris Paul, we're talking about accountability. Chris Paul will be in Ben Simmons' ear from day one. Like, yo, bro, you better shoot that fucking rock. Like, he doesn't take shit. You've seen him on the Clippers. You've seen him on Houston. Look at what he's doing in OKC. Dennis Schroeder his game has improved even though he's coming off the bench, and I guarantee you that's all Chris Paul. It's just Chris Paul feeding him information.
Are you envisioning a Chris Paul, Buddy Hield, Toby?
No, I think it's one or the other. Toby's gone. If you pull off the Toby deal, or if you pull off the Chris Paul deal, I'm telling you, they're gonna want either Josh Richardson or Tobias Harris, and it's gonna be like the Paul George deal. There's going to be a couple first-round picks, in my opinion. I feel like that's the only way you can get that thing done because they know how good he is. They proved like his value went from basically nothing in Houston, like just Chris Paul's done. Chris Paul isn't this. Chris Paul isn't that. He's just a big contract no one wants. He went to Oklahoma City. They took the risk on him, got picks out of it, got players out of it, and now his value's all the way up here. And OKC knows that. And who's that? Sam Presti? Sam Presti, the general manager of Oklahoma, he's by far, but next to Brad, honestly, it's Brad Stevens, Sam Presti. What he does with that franchise, keeping them competitive, is absolutely amazing. I think he's going to flip Chris Paul for a big value, but Chris Paul wants to go to a contender. Oklahoma is not a contender. So when you're looking at the board, someone that has a bad contract that can take on Chris Paul's contract and like give you something that's all right in talent, but could also give you picks maybe, and absorb a Chris Paul contract and make it like even, you're gonna look at the Sixers. I feel like that's just like right there for like the taking. Like they need a point guard. They have the cap room. Elton Brand's a player guy. He's not an analytics guy. I guarantee you Elton Brand looks at Chris Paul and is like, that's a perfect fit. I could see a deal like that happening.
I'm pretty sure OKC had like a 5% chance to make the playoffs this year.
It was
0.2. Yeah.
Oh, 0.2? Okay, yeah. Wow.
I said that from the jump.
Wow.
I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but I was like, it's Chris Paul, people. Like, do we not remember who this guy was? In his third year, he took his team to the Western Conference Finals. The New Orleans the New Orleans Hornets. They were not good. They were not good. They had Tyson Chandler and basically him. That was it. There were a few other guys. I think Ryan Anderson was on that team and some other guys. But for the like, he's a good player, dude. He's arguably a top 5 point guard all the time. Pure point. Let me say pure point before I get attacked, because people are gonna be like, "What about Steph Curry? What about like the guys that aren't true pure points?" Like I'm talking 10 guys. You know what I mean? Yeah. 20 and 10 guys.
All right. Any last comments on those trade ideas before we move on?
Yeah, just one more. I think a deal you're definitely going to hinder that I think both teams would benefit heavy on is Al Horford going to Houston, and we'll get Eric Gordon.
Ooh.
I think that's definitely something in the talks, because obviously Houston went to this small ball, which unless Houston somehow, and presumably the NBA continues on and they somehow make it to the finals, maybe they'll consider keeping this small ball. But
what's his contract's up this year too? The coach. Mike D'Antoni.
Yeah.
So they might not stay that fast-paced basketball next year. They might get rid of him and want a true center.
Yeah, so I think that could be a deal. Another one I think could happen is Richardson going to Brooklyn, and we would get Spencer Dinwiddie. I think that's definitely an option as well. Those are two deals I think that could happen. I don't know if we would get – I think the Horford one's definitely way more of an option. Where Eric Gordon's really good. I don't know how much he has left in the tank. But anything, Horford, Brand sounded like I got mixed emotions from Brand with what would have gone with Horford. But like you said, if it wasn't his like full decision on getting Horford, I think he will be moved. So
I think he wants to, but he just can't. Like in that press conference, a lot of people were like, "Oh, he sounds like he's in love with Horford still." I'm like, dude, he can't just come out in the press conference and be like, "Yeah, first thing I'm gonna do is trade out Horford." Oh, no, hey, the league, I'm trying to get rid of this shitty contract. No, you got to play the cards right. You got to set it up perfect. And honestly, if we're looking at – I think he's going to move one of the two contracts. And if I was a betting man between Tobias Harris's 180 over 5 and Al Horford, what is it now, 2 years after this season?
Yeah.
2 years, 110. Or 3 years, 110 technically, but it's 2 years left. What's easier to sell? Like, Another deal I saw that was actually really interesting was Charlotte dumping his. It was Al Horford, Josh Richardson, and like 2 picks, or one pick, and it was a 3-way deal. It was really complicated. Basically, it's between Sacramento, Charlotte, and Sixers, and in the end, you're getting rid of Josh Richardson, Al Horford. I think. Like a Mike Scott, it technically can't be Mike Scott, but the deal was Mike Scott because it was in this year. But Mike Scott's deal is up after this year. But again, Mike Scott's not getting paid a lot. You can sub that in for someone else. And in the end, the Sixers are basically acquiring Buddy Hield, Corey Joseph, and Terry Rozier. If you could get the Terry Rozier,
you wanted Scary Terry versus Boston.
I want Scary Terry. If we could get Scary Terry in Philadelphia, I would really not be mad. I don't think his contract's outrageous. I think he's a confident, cocky, scoring guard. He can run an offense, but he's not afraid to just take it. And honest to God, who would be better to put up against Boston? Like, I know Scary Terry's the type of player to just drop 30 on like Boston's head in one game. Make him the new Boston Strangler or whatever they used to call Andrew Toney.
Yeah, I think it's like – I feel like it's going to happen that Jay Rich and Horford are 100% going to be –
it's going to be a package.
They're going to be talked about more than anybody in trade talks this year. But besides Simmons and Embiid, I feel like nobody's really untouchable. I think everyone's available. And they're going to be looking for perimeter scoring too, right?
I would say
we'll see what happens.
I would have told you that Ben and Embiid weren't untouchable until Elton Brand said that we're not trading them. We want to make this work. Yeah. Until he said that, I was like, anyone can go.
Yeah. Thank God. I mean, you got to get a new head coach.
Well, we try.
So get Ty Lue, send Al Horford out of here. get a guard or someone that can shoot the ball from distance over 38%
next year. Also, hold on real quick before we move on. I keep doing this, but is there like do we have any idea of when the NBA is even looking to start?
Saturday.
No.
Okay.
The 2021 season.
Oh,
I read March.
I hear it could be Christmas or March.
That's what.
I would love Christmas.
I heard.
I think that's how it should have always been. Like
me too. It goes into the dead months of sports. Like the NBA Finals would be where nothing else is going on except for regular season baseball. All eyes on them. That would be
they would kill it, and especially basketball in the summer. I get it. Like it's an indoor sport, so like they've always had it in the winter because you can watch the game inside, and like you don't have to deal with the cold like football and baseball. But like. Why not? Like summer basketball, we can get
all right, guys. Well, we said 20 to 25 minutes on the Sixers, and we are 30, almost 36.
We always do this. It's fine. It's all right. It's all right. We're unlimited. We're not on that hour restriction anymore. We're better team.
Forward, the Sixers might be in the back of our schedule going forward now, especially with the Eagles coming up. But before we get to the Eagles,
on my heart still.
Before we get to the Eagles today, I'm going to switch up our agenda because we were going to be leading you guys into the Flyers game at 7 o'clock, but that is now being postponed. So let's talk about the Flyers game 1 and game 2 against the New York Islanders. The series is tied 1-1. They lost the first game 4-0. They won the second in a thriller in overtime 4-3, where they took a 3-goal lead in the first period, took their foot off the gas pedal, allowed the Islanders to come back, and then somehow miraculously gathered enough confidence to come back out in overtime and put them away in 2.5 minutes, thankfully for Phil Myers. So, George, I'll start with you, my Flyers guy. How are you feeling after the first 2 games? Are you feeling confident? Were you feeling confident going into tonight and now going into game 3, or are you a little nervous with how tough the Islanders have played the Flyers?
I feel a lot better after game 2. And even though we probably got outplayed like 4 of the 6 periods this series, but it's 1-1. So who gives a shit? It's fine. And our top lines are actually producing now. Kevin Hayes and Couturier were on fire. Like with them on the
happy about that.
Yeah, with them on the ice.
21-0-2 when Kevin Hayes scores a goal.
Yep.
Beast.
Yeah, with Couturier and Hayes on the ice, the Corsi for percentage went from 57.6 down to 33.9. Like they were absolutely on fire. They were setting up plays. Hayes was everywhere in the ice. Carter Hart held his own the whole game, and we got to Varlamov early, and that's really what matters. I feel like the biggest thing was you have to start off hot. You have to get out of the first period with at least a lead, show that you're not rolling over and dying game 2, and they did that. And then, they, of course, gave us a little heart attack because of the Flyers, and we deserve that as fans, but they made up for it overtime.
Look, the Flyers did there's so much I want to get into with them right now, but if we have time, we'll see. I will say this. The Phil Myers goal in the overtime win saved the Flyers series and saved the Flyers season, because before going into game 2, if you went down 2-0 against this team, it was going to be very difficult to come back against them. On top of throwing a 3-goal lead, blowing a 3-game lead through, oh my God, 3-game – I can't speak. Blowing a 3-goal lead in game 2, the Flyers' confidence and momentum would have been shot, and I think they would have been in a lot of trouble. Chris,
big mood. Yep.
Haven't screamed that loud at Phil Myers OT goal in a long time. Agreed, buddy.
And it's crazy because
it was nice to have Flyers overtime hockey back, as crazy as that was to say.
Yeah, I mean, I missed
nice to have a heart attack too.
We need to think of a nickname. We need to think of a nickname for Myers. He's been playing too damn good tonight.
Thrill, baby.
There's a couple things I look for in George and Snap. I'll throw this to you guys. Going forward, and like what the Flyers have done well and haven't done well, and what they need to do going forward in game 3 is against this Islanders team. Scoring first is very important, because the Islanders get 1 goal and they sit back and pack it in, and they don't let you in the middle of the zone, in the middle of the ice, in the offensive zone, and they make you shoot from the outside, which are not high percentage looks. And then they once your defensemen are pushing in too far, or there's a turnover in the neutral zone, they're beating you the other way, and they're going to execute 8-9 times out of 10, and then that's where they bury you. Then they go up 2-0, and then the same thing happens. Okay, you saw that in game 1. another thing is I think the Flyers have to keep coming out aggressive at this team because in game 1, you watched them get outplayed just like they did in game 2 and against the Canadiens, and you saw what resulted. In game 2, the Flyers came out more aggressive and dominated the first period, did not let the Islanders get in on their forecheck, got the puck out of the zone quickly. Carter Hart did a great job in the first period playing the puck behind the net. And then the Flyers executed. They didn't execute in game 1, guys. There was a lot of mistakes. There's a lot of they were getting beat to loose pucks. They weren't controlling the puck and keeping possession well in game 1. In game 2, Kevin Hayes buried both of his attempts. Sean Couturier had a hell of a drive to the net and got one past Varlamov to get him out of the game in the first period. So I think just going forward, you have to come out fast and score first against this team, and don't sit back for dear life for 55 more minutes because they will kill you and they will beat you because they are too good and too quick, and they put the puck in the back of the net.
That's the thing. You have to start off hot because this is one of the best forechecking teams in hockey. They're one of the best defensive teams in hockey. Like you said, they don't let you get shots in the middle of the ice, which is a huge advantage if you can get that. And they force you to the outside. They're a defense-first team. Barry Trotz is a hell of a coach. Like, the Islanders are just a scary team for anyone to play. Nobody really matches up well with them. And if we can stay physical, if we can start off hot in Game 3, which could have been tonight, I kind of don't mind it, though, because Carter Hart gets a break. Because I assume Varlamov would have been in the net, and he missed the last 2 periods. So, yeah, you just start off hot. I think that's the biggest thing about this series. If you want to win, you have to score early. You have to get on the goalie early because if you don't, the Islanders are going to get down your throats and they're going to hold you from the net if they score.
And you saw that a lot in game 1 because they didn't play bad in the second period or the third
I thought the Flyers dominated.
They couldn't get it in the net. And, like, they like George has said, they had that slow start. They went down early. And it kind of took them out of the game from the first period because just like you said, the Islanders will stay down your neck. Even if you start playing good, they're going to stay on you. They're going to stay fast. They're gonna get physical. And you saw it. That's why they adjusted. They made sure they got pucks on that early in the first period of game 2.
The Islanders are so good on fast breaks and on 3-on-2s. I think you've seen that in the first 2 games. So exactly when they get up early and they pack it in, they play that box defense and they literally don't let you get pucks or bodies in front of Varlamov or to the middle of the zone. You have to shoot from the outside and by the boards and by the dots. And they're just not high quality looks. And when you shoot from those angles, that's where a rebound gets kicked out to the blue line. That's where it gets played off the boards weird. And that's when they beat you going the other way. And that's just how Barry Trotz has them playing. And it's effective. But real quick, I just think, can we acknowledge the fact that this dude literally set a record for longest streak in Islanders history without giving up a goal, and then got pulled in the first period of the same game. He set that.
Awesome!
record.
It's so awesome.
But speaking of goalies,
just fuck that guy for real.
I think that was awesome.
Have you read about him with the domestic violence shit?
No,
that guy.
I didn't even know that. Hi from Sweden.
That's cool.
Sweden.
Let's go.
I won't even try.
Thanks for listening.
I'm too English for that.
Nadir, I'm sorry if I mess up your name, but Nadir Aga. You can tell me in the comments if that's correct or wrong. But thanks for listening.
Yeah, I'm too English for that.
But Carter Hart is another. Yeah, but Snap, I read that too.
Dude's a piece of shit.
Yeah,
like a serious piece of shit. Like he told his wife or ex-wife, whatever she is, if you come back to Russia, you will be murdered. Like, the dude's a piece of shit. Like,
I didn't read all that. Jeez Louise.
Yeah, like, it's serious. Like, that guy sucks. Like, I'm surprised in the league.
Oh, Sixers.
Oh. That's all I like to hear.
And we were correct on the names. Thank you for listening. Hope you're enjoying it, and go Sixers. But I think it was big to get Varlamov out of that game and rattle him and get up 3-0 because he was maybe the hottest goaltender in the postseason going up to this point. So getting that out of the way in game 2 was huge to me. And now switching from one goal crease to the other, Carter Hart, because I talked about this earlier, I don't think he's played bad. Like, I can't really fault him for many of the goals given up in the first 2 games. But at the same time, he might know that as well, but he's given up 3 goals in both games. So going into the series, he had what, Georgia, 1.67 goals against average, low to high or mid to high ones, was below 2. Now he's got a 3 goals against average in 2 games in the series. Whether it's his fault or not, Carter Hart's capable of stealing a game or 2 in the series, and I think it's big that the Flyers have tied this 1-1, and his goals against is almost double what it was coming in.
After that game 1, too, if you went to Vegas and looked at odds for the Stanley Cup, the Islanders shot up way past
and
the Flyers.
Shot way down.
Yeah, like it's one game. Like I get it. There's like a statistic where if you lose game 1 of a 7-game series, you usually don't win the series to get a large percentage.
Yeah,
but it's the bubble. It's different, and it's the Flyers. They don't lose back-to-back games no matter where they are. Like
I was just about to say that, Snap. The Flyers, it's not what this team does, dude. They do not lose back-to-back games. And it starts from the head coach and the leadership and the top line guys all the way down to Carter Hart and the low defensive pairings. They just refuse to lose back-to-back games. They had every reason. They blew this game, flat out blew this game. And I don't know how they had any confidence going into the overtime period. And they somehow pulled it out. But
that game really showed me, like, if you didn't believe that this is a completely different team than years before, believe it now. Because after we blew that lead, any year besides this year, what are we doing? We're losing. We're losing that game.
I'm being
losing that series.
That Kevin Hayes on that penalty kill with after AV didn't get the challenge reversed was so big because there's 2:09 left, and when you have to kill a penalty in the final 2 minutes, you're basically just playing to live to get to overtime. Because the odds of you scoring a shorthanded goal are slim to none against, especially against the Islanders. So Kevin Hayes playing that big of a role in the penalty kill and getting them to overtime doesn't get talked about enough.
I love him.
About the Myers
so much.
But we weren't. I didn't think
so good.
I didn't think we were getting to overtime. To be honest with you, like when AV got that challenge reversed, or didn't get that challenge reversed, and then right, Snap.
I just let one go. I'm sorry, I couldn't even hold the face.
Dude, the craziest part.
I'm sorry.
Let one go. The craziest part is like Couturier had a wide open net to end it right before Myers took a shot too. Like when Couturier shot that puck, I was like, "It's over. We won."
Yeah,
completely missed the net. Yeah, completely missed the net, and I was like, "Wow!" And then all of a sudden, Philip Myers out of nowhere with a rocket.
So
that took a beautiful bounce too.
Before we move on, there's just a couple more things, just 2 more things I want to get to with the Flyers real quick, is the fact that I think AV has done a great job shuffling lines, which previous Flyers coaches did not do well or did not adjust whatsoever. If Ghost is playing well, Ghost gets the start. If Ghost doesn't play well, like he got butchered in game 1, Robert Hay comes back into the lineup. Scott Lawton, apparently there might have been an injury issue that I wasn't aware about. That's why he didn't play. I'd rather have JVR in the lineup anyway. Scott Lawton has been terrible this postseason so far. Turning the puck.
That's your boy.
Dude,
he hates Scott Lawton, man. He really does. Jeez Louise.
I don't hate anybody.
No, Lawton has completely been like he's been terrible this series.
He's awful.
But he's
I'm sorry.
I think he's hurt. Like I know in the playoffs, coaches are so secretive about it. Like they're not going to tell you. But AV low-key hinted that Lawton's hurt right now. That's why he's not playing.
Is that why
he's been terrible? He's been bad. This season he was good. Like he was a very productive player for us in the regular season.
Because he got to play next to Kevin Hayes and Travis Konecny all year.
Yeah,
give him a break, Bill.
Did his job.
Give him a break. Give me a break. Did you see the turnovers?
It looks like he's on drugs in the playoffs. It's been terrible.
He's terrible. Dude. If those pucks get put in the back of the net off those turnovers, we might not be talking about the Flyers in round 2 here. Carter Hart absolutely saved his ass. Oh my God!
That turnover to make it 3-3 was the most disgusting thing I've ever seen.
In the playoffs, you have to play your best players, and I know he had a good year, but I believe this. I think he overachieved in the regular season with that line, and now in the postseason, he's getting a little bit exposed with the better defense, and JVR. I know he's struggling and he underachieved this season, but he's a better player. He's seasoned in the playoffs. He's a bigger body. He's more effective on the power play. I would play JVR every day over Scott Long.
Yeah, I would too.
You would play me over Scott Long.
I would play a lot of people over Scott Long.
You would play me.
You know he's going to come back and score like 2 goals the next game. He's back.
Yeah.
Like the biggest ass ever. But I hope he does, honestly. Let's move on. So hopefully we're talking about a Flyers win next time.
Are we going predictions?
You know what? Yes, Gant, let's do predictions.
Awesome.
We may or may not do a pregame show before the game, whenever that is this weekend, hopefully.
Saturday too.
Yeah, Gant, we'll start with you.
I'm going shout out intern Dan. I'm going the same score he predicted earlier.
It's intern Dave. You got it.
Oh, Dave. I'm so sorry, Dave. Intern Dave. He's the man, by the way. I'm going the same score here. I'm going 3-1. Carter Hart going to bounce back, have a great game. He's let up 3 goals the past 2 games. Won't happen again. 3-1.
If you want to back Carter Hart like that, do what I did because you saw my prediction. My prediction, Goose egg. Flyers dub, Flyers shut out, and they take control of this series. George?
No, I'm with you again. I'm gonna go 3-1. That's kind of like one of my go-tos, but dude, it's Carter Hart. If it's 3-0, I'll take it. But I think we win game 3.
Can we acknowledge, not to pat on myself on the own back? Oh my God, I can't speak today. But in our Flyers and Sixers pregame show, I was so close to calling a Kevin Hayes goal 4-2 win. Kevin Hayes scored, and the Fly. What did they win? 3-2 in Game 6. Oh, I was close. All right, guys, let's move on.
We're winning. That's all that matters. By the way, that's all that matters.
Facts.
I'm going. Since no one asked me, 3-1.
Hey,
one more person picks 3-1.
It's gonna happen.
And Snap was on his phone doing some research. So
I'm not doing research. I'm making sure the Instagram page is up to date. Damn it! Gotta do it on the fly.
Let's move on to a team whose season has not started yet, but is very, very close.
It ain't looking good. I'll tell you that much.
What?
Give it a chance.
The Eagles?
Yeah.
Give it a chance.
Not the soul.
We talking union?
What? The injuries? Snap, come on.
Dillard's out, dude. The whole left side of the offensive line is fucked.
I could bum rush Andre
We
Dillard.
got the bodyguard.
I couldn't bum rush
38-year-old bodyguard.
I'd rather have him over Andre Dillard. Dude looks like a bum so far before he got hurt in camp.
So
You are correct. Injuries have reared their ugly head again, and the season hasn't even started. Brandon Brooks is probably going to be out for the year, even though Lane Johnson came out and said he thinks Brooks could be back. I don't know how that's possible, but we'll see. Now Dillard goes out for the year, so that's 2 pieces on your starting line that are out. Miles Sanders, he seems like he'll be good to go. He's had a nagging hamstring injury, so the Eagles have kept him out a little bit just to make sure he's good to go for week 1. Javon Hargrave, I don't even know, did the dude even get to practice in the Eagles uniform before he got hurt he's not week to week, but he's out for a couple weeks, I think, 3 to 4 weeks. So the first, I want to go a little bit kind of position by position here. And I want to start with the wide receivers because that was probably the biggest hole in concern last year, whether it was drop passes, drop touchdowns to win a game, or just literally lawn chairs out there that Carson won the division with. So this year, obviously, it's just training camp, it's just practice. So I'm not going to sit here and make a stupid reference or talk about build them up. But I do have faith. Jalen Reagor, finally, I saw a video of Justin Jefferson the other day in Vikings camp, and it looks like the Eagles finally made the right choice.
Yes.
Did you see? Did anyone else see that video?
I saw the video. Yeah, I saw the video.
I did not see the video.
You look so slow.
Should I Google the video?
Justin Jefferson camp.
Yeah.
But so Jalen Reagor, I've heard nothing but great things. Zach Miller, backup O-line is hella young.
That's not a good thing.
No, he's right. It's definitely scary. Look, I'm just trying to be optimistic right now.
Absolutely.
Was this on Twitter?
What?
Yeah.
Was this on the Twitter?
It was on Twitter, yeah.
That was from YouTube.
So what's the name? So I've heard nothing but great things out of Jalen Reagor so far in camp. He's making contested catches in traffic. He beat Darius Slay on a go route for a touchdown the other day. Deshaun Jackson looks like he still has it because him and Slay are going back and forth.
Oh, my God.
Did you see the video?
What, Mike Hughes?
Yeah. Is it Justin Jefferson?
It doesn't even look like he's trying to get the ball. That was the shittiest route I've ever seen.
Yeah.
He took 4 steps, turned around, and took 2 more. He closed out on him so quick.
He looked so slow. But
I heard Jalen Reagor burn the hell out of Darius Slay on a 1v1 on a 1v1 coverage. That's what I want to hear.
He did. So he's looked great. D-Jack sounds like he still has it. Him and Slay are going back and forth. One play, Slay's keeping up with him step for step, getting a pass break up. Another play, D-Jax is toasting him down the sideline for a touchdown. So that's great to hear. If he still hasn't, and what the issue with D-Jax is, can he stay healthy at this point in his career? Because he hasn't really done it his whole career, so let's hope. J-Jaw, Gint, your boy. Your boy.
J-Jaw's gonna turn into the Vincent Velasquez of this team, dude. Every year it's gonna be like, oh, who knows? Who knows?
That might be a good comparison.
He has had a hell of a camp so far.
Supposedly he has. I mean,
and hold on, the kid's got some swagger this year. Last year he had.
He did. That comment was ballsy.
Last year he had his mom holding his umbrella or whatever on the practice field. This year, someone asked him about to reference a touchdown catch he had in practice, and he said, "You're going to be more specific. I had 2 or 3 of those today."
He was right. He did.
And apparently, I saw a tweet come out. I forget if it was Dave Spadar, Zangaro, or whoever it was, but they said that Carson went like 3 or 4 plays to him in the red zone, like a lob pass in the corner for touchdowns to J. Jaw one day. So he sounds again. It's training camp. It's practice. We haven't seen any of it really. So I'm just going by what you're hearing on social media from the analysts and reporters. But if he can be what we thought he was going to be coming out of the draft, if Jalen Reagor is the first round pick the Eagles selected him for, if D-Jax can stay healthy and still have the speed or resemble the speed he's had, and you still have a guy like Greg Ward who overachieved last year, and let's see what he can do in a 16-game season if he makes a team. I've heard great things about John Hightower. I've heard a couple people, and his speed is really making an impression on Doug and them. And
I heard Jalen Hurts has already beaten out Nate Sudfeld basically. In the last 2 days, he's already gotten way more reps.
I heard
it won't take much.
I don't know if he's going to be your number 2 quarterback. I've heard a lot of great things about him running the offense in the red zone and coming in and beating the defense with his legs. So that's always nice to hear. I mean, George, you weren't on yet for when we did that YouTube video, but we talked about the Jalen Hurts pick and we butchered it, and rightfully so, I still think. But if he can come out and produce in a Wildcat scheme or produce with his legs or do whatever he has to do, then
I think they're going to get creative.
Then I'm all for it. So I've heard great. And then you still have Alshon Jeffrey, who knows how that's going to turn out when he comes back. But if he can still be like even a resemblance of his 2017
just 50-50 guy, just a nice 50-50 guy.
Right. So, I mean, honestly, you went from the weakest position on this team last year to a room that doesn't have any names that fly off the page at you, but a lot of names with a lot of speed, a couple big bodies thrown in there with the 2 big tight ends you got going over the middle and the speed coming out of the backfield. This offense is looking like they're going to have the ability to score quickly with Carson. And if that's the case, this team is going to be very fun to watch because, first let me throw to you guys what you've heard about the wide receivers and who you're looking for, but then I want to switch it over to the defensive side.
Got it.
Yeah. It seems like from everyone that's been at camp, everyone's saying that they're really emphasizing the deep ball this year, and they're really trying to start to do that more. And Hightower is one of the names that Wentz has been connecting with. Same with J-Jaw, Reagor, obviously. And Quez Watkins has been running plays behind the line of scrimmage like multiple times. So it seems like we're going to get creative with these guys. I mean, obviously they're very young, so we'll see what happens. But there's been nothing but good word so far in camp. And apparently the deep ball is looking really good with Carson and the young receivers.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just hope there's so many, like we just stated, so many names. It's hopefully we're getting the right guys, the right field time. You know what I mean? It's a decision that the coaching staff's going to have to make, and you just hope they make the right one. Obviously, I think D-Jack, Reagor will definitely be 2 guys that you'll see on the field a lot. And then after that, it's like, I think they'll give J-Jaw a lot of time at the beginning of the season and give him basically like almost like a 3-week tryout again. It's like, you have 3 weeks to show something. If you can't, like, we got to move on. I mean, I hope that's what they'll do. We just can't have another guy just sit around and be just milk on the roster year after year that isn't bringing anything to the table. So you just want these wide receivers to definitely be guys that are going to make some plays for Carson.
I think my 2 wide receivers I'm looking at are J-Jaw, just after that swaggery comment he made, because I think them drafting all these wide receivers was a wake-up call for him. It's kind of like, yo, you need to step it up or you're going to be out of the league or you're going to be on a practice squad. Like, you might get waived. Like, you might get let go. Like, so I see that. But the other guy I'm really, really excited for is Jalen Reagor, because I don't think I've heard one bad thing about him in training camp. I was saying after we drafted him, at first I was mad. I did my research. I watched my film, and I went, this guy was playing with a garbage man throwing him the ball for most of his career. Now you got a MVP caliber quarterback throwing you the ball, and you're athletic, you're fast, you can make catches, you can be a punt returner. Like, just everything I'm hearing about him burning Slay on a 1v1 coverage. That's one of the best cornerbacks for 1v1 coverage in the league. And you're keeping up with him as a rookie. You're burning him as a rookie. All I've heard out of training camp, the wide receiver is deep. There's no issue with wide receiver. It's the line.
To put the Jalen Reagor college situation in perspective, his senior year stats dropped off because a freshman quarterback came in and he gave him a 31% completion accuracy to him.
And
like
Josh Jefferson had like a
77%. Yeah. He didn't get the ball like Jefferson could. He didn't have the quarterback. That's what it was.
Going to the other side of the field, I just have something I want to bring up because this can't be real. But
he's in disbelief.
Can't be real.
But the other side of the ball, Avonte Maddox from day one, there's supposed to be a battle on the other side because Nickel Roby-Coleman's going to be the slot corner, Darius Slay's going to be the CB1 on the one side, and then the other side it was supposed to be a battle between Sidney Jones, who looked like he kind of stepped his game up at the end of last season a little bit, and Avonte Maddox, and apparently Avonte Maddox has just ran away with the competition. I know Sidney Jones has been battling like some injuries in camp so far, but
it adds to it. Yeah, shocker.
I think since day one, it's been Avonte Maddox across from Darius Slay, and
they made comments about him, Avonte Maddox, that he's from Detroit and he's always reached out to Darius Slay even back when he was on the Lions. And they said all he's been doing is picking his brain. And because someone put the video out of the interview on Twitter, and the first quote to it was Darius Slay saying, "Hell yeah!" Like, I think there's like a really good chemistry in this cornerback room and in the secondary room. Like, I think our secondary is not the issue this year for once.
It's not. No, it's not. And that's why I'm saying I brought up the speed in the wide receiver group and the offense, because this team is set up like to score quickly and put up points. And now you have a defense with hopefully a good secondary for the first time in a long time. Even before Javon Hargrave comes back, but then when he does come back, your defensive line is going to be stacked of Malik Jackson, Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargrave, Derek Barnett. Like, you have pieces all on this line. Your Achilles heel is going to be your linebacker position. And
which is never a big
and I think we value that. So we can come back to Eagles if you want. I just have to read you guys this. So it's a tweet. It says, there's a video, but I haven't listened to it yet. Holy shit, Rob Manfred is trying to force the Mets to pull.
Just saw that.
Social awareness stunt tonight by having the players symbolically leave the field at 7:10 before returning an hour later to play at 8:10, even though the players don't want to play tonight.
That's so fucked. Like that, he just doesn't get it. That's so dumb.
Yeah, it's very dumb.
He's a very big idiot. Like, it's them.
He's a very big idiot. Dude, and Josh Harris about that.
Can we quote that after this? He's a very big idiot. But yeah, guys, I saw that in a chat. I couldn't believe it.
I thought you were talking that it couldn't have been Avonte Maddox. I was like,
no.
I was like, come on, man. Jeez Louise.
But to wrap up the defense, TJ Edwards is a guy to keep your eye on at the middle linebacker position. So very high on him. Snap, you have to stop ripping ass in your room.
I've been back to the gym in PA, so I've been eating a lot of protein, and it's just not doing good for my stomach at all.
Makes it so obvious too every time.
I just can't. Like, it's one of those ones.
Thank God we're in the studio with you.
Like, how normally like you fart and it smells, and you kind of almost enjoy it because it's your own, even though it still stinks. Well, like these ones are at that level where it's like I don't even want these. Like they're my redheaded stepchild of farts. Like I don't want you. Like this is bad. Like
what part of the pod is this? What topic is this?
This is farts.
It's called Snap's ass. But yeah, anything else you guys want to touch on before we wrap up tonight?
Shout out Sean Bradley. He's gonna make the team. He's a beast.
I hope so. Jersey's very own 609. Stand up.
I think he's going.
One more thing. Did you saw Schefter's tweet today about Dillard, and he said Dillard's been dominating camp, and then the one Eagles reporter quoted it said Dillard's definitely not been dominating camp this year.
No. Phillies went out and made some bullpen adjustments. If you haven't already, go check out my podcast with Mike Small called Spitballin'. It's Phillies pod. And we talk a little bit about the bullpen expectations last night. So they went out. They ended up winning against the Nationals last night, taking 2 and 3 before postponing. The Phillies, I believe, are now in third place.
Yep.
So the bullpen stepping up. Tommy Hunter looks a lot better.
We're raking per usual.
I said on Twitter,
the issue. We know this.
Bryce Harper's still good.
Still good.
JT Realmuto still unsigned and still dominant. So what? Fuck them.
So speaking of the Eagles, I said on Twitter earlier that we'll have a special announcement tonight. So here it is. For all of you guys watching or that are going to see this next Thursday, depending on the flyer schedule or whatever, on our episode, John Marks from 94 WIP, Marks and Reese will be on our show next week. So stay tuned for that. Follow us on Twitter at Phaithful Fans because we will be promoting that a little bit and giving you guys a heads up going into next week. So go Birds, go Flyers, and
hey, the Sixers get rid of them shitty contracts.
Have a nice night, guys.